So we talked to Keith Dambrot yesterday, and he kind of explained what it's like, for him, because this is his first year facing Pitt, and he had good things to say about you even from afar. So what do you know about Keith?
Just that he had great success at Akron, and I've seen his teams play a few times over the years just because we would be scouting, somebody maybe that they played. I think last year when we played Eastern Michigan, maybe I saw them a game from the conference tournament the year before, and just different scenarios like that. And so, but teams are obviously well coached and well prepared, and they had great success at Akron, and so that's, I don't know him well. I have a tremendous amount of respect for him because of the job that he's done and the reputation that he has.
Do you see a lot of similarities between your situation here and his situation?
Yeah, I think that I think there's probably some direct correlations in terms of starting, in a building situation, and so it sounds like they've got a lot of guys sitting out this year for next year. That we obviously didn't have that type of situation, but yeah, I think there are certainly similarities because when you take over a program, then you go in and you do the best you can to get it to look like you want it to look, and I know because we spoke for a few minutes at an event earlier in the fall, and we were both kind of talking about the similar challenges that we were having.
He said yesterday, he was like, with anyone who says Kevin Stallings isn't a good coach doesn't know basketball. And then with that, he kind of went into the fact that it doesn't matter, like coaching isn't as much as important as recruiting and the players you have when you're starting a new program over. Do you feel the same way about that, that it's like you can be the best coach in the world, but if you don't get the right players?
Well, yeah, if most of the time the team with the best Jimmies and the best Joes are going to win. I mean, that's just a fact. None of us are so great that we're going to consistently beat other guys that are also good at what they do. If we have inferior players, and so I agree with the part of the assessment that recruiting is tremendously important to the success of any basketball program, and tremendously important and vital to your ability to win.
He talked about how your offense is different than some other, maybe most offenses around the country, and that you show a look, but you can do different things off that look. And he compared you to a football coach who can either run play action or hand off. Is that the way your offense is?
I would say that I would, yeah. I mean, that's we certainly make a habit, I would say, of trying to disguise actions and make it look similar to something else, and we might hit you with 2 or 3 different things, and so it's one of the ways to disguise some of the things that you're trying to do, and one of the ways to try to keep people off balance, but it only can be as effective as your player's ability to execute it, and so if I had a bunch of guys that were tremendous one-on-one players, and then I probably wouldn't have to try to be quite as deceptive and creative as we try to be. But I don't think that at this juncture, I don't think our team is blessed with a bunch of one-on-one type players. I think that we've got a bunch of good team basketball players and guys that, as they're figuring out how to play together and how to play for each other, we can be effective as a unit. And so that's, in a lot of respects, why we approach it the way we do.
Duquesne's a team, Kevin. I think that this room has about 7 or 8 scholarship players. Is that, given that, or is there anything you guys might try to do differently to kind of wear them down and maybe take advantage of one of your strengths, which I guess in this case would be more of a deeper roster?
I don't know that you can change the way that you play. We're not a pressing, team. I hope that, and not just in this game, I hope in any game that we're able to wear down our opponent a little bit because of how hard we play and because of the nature of how we play, and we're going to try to guard really hard and really physically, and we're going to try to run offense and run you through screens and do some things like that. So, our hope is any time that you try to wear down an opponent, but I wouldn't, I have to teach our guys and continue to teach our guys to play the way that we play and to be as good as we can in our style of play. And for me to change lanes on them because we play a team that doesn't have quite so much depth or has a guy hurt or something like that, then that doesn't do my team any good in the long run. We need to be able to win the way we play, and the way we play needs to take advantage of somebody doesn't, if they're shorthanded or if whatever the case might be, the way we play needs to wear them down, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Having lost to Duquesne last year, as a coach going into a game like this year, is there any kind of pressure you put on yourself, or do you feel any against it?
Oh, I think that anytime you lose a game, you feel more pressure the next game, and that and so if you lose one, you just feel more, at least I do, more stressed about playing the next one. Having lost last year, does that put more? I have 2 players that were a part of that game last year. Does it put more pressure on me? Maybe a little bit, but hopefully not on my team because the overwhelming majority of them weren't even a part of the game.
You mentioned right now, you have a team-oriented teams with the personnel and not one-on-one players. Do you feel some of the freshmen could develop into that kind of role, whether it's Marcus putting up 19 on 5 shots or Shamil at times being able to drive to the rim?
Yeah, I think that we have some guys that are capable of making plays. I don't mean to imply that we don't have a guy that can break off and go make a play, because we do. And those 2 guys you mentioned are 2 of them. Millie's made some, Jared's made some. Ryan has made. We've had several guys that break off. But I'm just talking about as a general approach to offense. We're not going to win a game trying to go one-on-one for 40 minutes. That's what I mean. And but yeah, those guys have that ability now. And what I've got to do as a coach is I've got to put them in position to, when they do break it off, that they can go be successful at it. And then what they have to do is they have to understand when's a good time and when's not a good time. And I try to help them with that as well. But no, we have some guys that can certainly break off and make plays. It's just that that's just not how we're going to be successful over a 40-minute period.
I'm curious, it's kind of slightly off topic. You mentioned you're not a pressing team, but there's times in games that you got to press, maybe at the end. How often do you practice? If you're not a pressing team, how often do you practice?
I think that's kind of a good question as it pertains to just about anything. If you're not a zone team, how often do you play zone? If you're not a pressing team, how often do you press? We create situational play in practice, and whether we're playing against a press or whether we're behind by 10 points with a minute to play and we're trying to play a catch-up kind of thing, and we do something situational every day, and I'd be lying if I told you we do it this often, because we do it when I kind of feel like it's time to do it, but we're doing something with situational play virtually every day.
with a younger team, Kevin, that sometimes is a struggle a little bit defensively, is there ever a temptation, we were talking about altering stuff there, to maybe go zone, or do you want it at this point to be like, okay, I've got them young, they're still pretty pliable here, I really want them to learn what I want them to?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that we can do for these guys right now is get them good at something as quickly as we can. Something that they can believe in, something that they can rely on. And I'm not saying that we won't play zone. We could play some tomorrow night if we had to, but my thought on it is that the best thing that I can do for them is get them proficient at playing man-to-man defense as quickly as possible. And that way they have something that they can have some confidence in and rely on. And so whether it's that or what we're doing in half-court offense or whatever the case might be, I'm trying to give them some things they can grab a hold of and say, okay, we believe in this, we see the results, we see the success, we believe in each other, we trust each other in what we're doing. And that's that's my approach with that. That's why we're not jumping around trying to find different things. And I think that the other thing, and I've made this mistake as a coach, is I call it trying to solve all the problems for them and trying to give them the answers. It's like having your own kids. If you solve all their problems and you don't force them to make decisions, then they don't grow up probably the way that you would ideally want them to grow up. Well, it's the same thing with basketball players. If I sit there and try to solve all their problems for them, then when adversity comes in the game, they're going to start looking at me to solve the problem instead of, okay, this is what we do. We just have to do it better so we can solve the problem ourselves. And I think we've done a pretty good job of that, really, because they're starting to really get and apply the concepts that we've been teaching them since they got on campus, essentially in the summer. And I'm seeing real growth there in the way we play together defensively, and so hopefully we continue with that growth and they become good and confident in what they know, and they trust themselves and their teammates and the coaches that they can fix the problems.
Does this opponent create any more of a buzz for your players than any other opponent?
Well, it's all relative. I mean, it's all relative. Does it create more buzz than some? Yes, and others, no. I mean, there are some that create more buzz than this one, but there's some that don't create as much buzz as this one. So,
as far as non-conference, though, it's probably as buzzworthy than anything, right?
I guess you could ask the players that. I'm not in all up in the psyche of how they feel about the game. I just want us to play well and continue to try to progress and get better.
Kevin, yesterday Keith said, I want to beat Pitt, but I have bigger fish to fry here. I mean, on a game-in, game-out basis,
That's how every good coach feels. I believe. I mean, I respect him for saying that, because so what if he beats us? I mean, really, so what? I mean, so what if we beat him? We still got, what, 21 more games, and that just shows that I'd almost rather have a guy over there that would be the whole season in beating us, and then, but he's way smarter than that, so I knew better. And so yeah, it's an important game, and I hate to be boring and hate to sound, like a coach, but it's really important. It's the next game. I mean, it's the next game, and we need to try to continue to build and get better. And we really, really, really want to win the game. We really do. But we got a game on Tuesday, no matter what happens in the game on Friday. And I'm pretty sure we got a game the Saturday after that, if I'm not mistaken. And so and I don't know, I hope I didn't cut you
No,
off.
it's- no, it's-
I mean,
But I mean, if you find, especially you've got so many new guys, he's basically starting over.
Sure.
There, you're basically really starting over for the first time here. Are you guys in similar spots in a way where?
yeah, we talked about that before you came in, and no,
Apologize.
that's okay. It's, yeah, it's very similar. I mean, we're going, yeah, we're both new to town, and it might as well be year number one for me. You know, I mean, because it's like the second year number one, really. And I said a little earlier, he's got some guys sitting out, so that'll probably alleviate him feeling next year the way I feel this year. But he's a damn good coach, and you know, he's got experience. He'll do a great job there, I believe, and I know he will. And they're going to be a tough team for us to play against. They are, because they're well coached and they've got good players, and they might not have as many of them as he'll have in the future, but they're what they have is good.
I think that your response to Craig about kind of wanting them to be good at one thing and, you know, rather, you know, than kind of a quick fix, is that reflective of the approach that you need to have here, where, you know, you're developing these guys now, so that when they are the 7 freshmen, so that when they are juniors and they are seniors, they can kind of grow into the players, the program that, you know, your ideology of what you want this to be.
Absolutely.
Kind of the long-term.
Absolutely.
approach.
The absolutely is why we would approach it that way, why I would approach it that way. And it's not that I want to be good at only one thing. I'd like to be good at a bunch of things. But you have to be good at one before you can be good at two. And so if I'm going to be good at one, then the one I need to be, I feel like we better be able to defend our goal. We better be able to defend our basket. And so that's what we started with. We're defending our basket. And we've got to play a connected defense. We can't play an individual defense just like we can't play an individual offense. And our defense has started to come together the last 2 or 3 games. We've had really, really good stretches. Have we done it for, you know, all 40 minutes? You know, not necessarily, but we've done it for the majority of the 40 minutes. And you look at the numbers are starting to look better, and all of that. So, you know, it's that whole crawl before you walk thing, and walk before you run. And we're, I'm trying to be smart with these guys. I'm trying to be patient with these guys and let them grow at the rate that they're capable of growing at. And this may be, unfortunately, but I'll never be accused of the guy that doesn't give them enough. I've erred many times in my career on giving them too much. Never have I erred by not giving them enough. So I still throw a lot at them, but particularly from a defensive standpoint, we're trying to stay in our lane and become good at what we're good at.
That's what Keith said, the 5 transfers he has coming in next year, and then the freshmen, as opposed to, you know, getting guys in right now that could play, you know, for the long term. He'd be dumb to do it in 1 year, try to do it in 1 year. Is that the same approach you do that?
Yeah, I mean, I think that if you have the benefit of time and the benefit of patience, and, you know, then you try to make good long-term decisions, and you don't try to quick fix something that's going to be a house of cards. You try to build it and give it a good foundation, a good fundamental balance, and then over the course of time, you just try to make it better and better.
What do you remember about some of the guys they have returning from last year and last year's game, like Lewis, Terrence Smith, Castro Kennedy? Just, you know, about your impressions of them on the court and what they're good at and what you've seen on the field.
Yeah, they got a couple returning players. I think both of the teams obviously have a lot of new guys, but a couple returning. You know, Castro is a great scorer. They got a couple other quick guards and also make plays for others. So, you know, try to use the experience we had against them in the past and try to, you know, plan for that.
I don't know if we got the chance to talk to you before last year's City Game Rabbits. Sort of kind of the typical question, I guess, you know, for someone from the Pittsburgh area here. I mean, how do you view, you know, being here at Pitt? How do you view Duquesne? You know, I know your dad, I think, grew up a Duquesne fan, right? He was telling me that.
My dad went there, but
Okay.
I mean, you know, I think it's a good thing for the city. You know, anytime Pitt and Duquesne get to play, you know, it draws a lot of attention, rightfully so. And I think it kind of brings, you know, the Pittsburgh basketball community together. But I think it's, you know, good and healthy for the city, you know, kind of have that rivalry and kind of look forward to, you know, both teams obviously don't have to go very far. So I think it's good.
Is there more buzz for this game than most other non-conference games?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you can't really deny that, you know, going down to the PVG and playing and, you know, being a mile or two away from them. So you can't really deny that aspect. But I think that's good, you know, get people excited, get people, you know, amped up for it. But once the ball gets tipped, it's just going to be, you know, another game where we're going to have to play well.
Is it kind of weird because there used to be a time for a long time where these guys and the Duquesne, you guys see each other in the summer league, you play pickup together, you guys would know each other. I mean, the game would almost be the city game would be an extension of just the other 12 months a year. Does it have a different vibe just because you got so many new guys, they got so many new guys?
Yeah, I think it's a little bit different vibe. Yeah, like you said in the past, you know, just being around, you know, the basketball community around this area or playing summer league. I know we don't have the summer league anymore, so maybe we don't get to see, you know, guys from the area as much. But it still has that feel a little bit, but also there's so many new guys. I think it hasn't been lost, but you know, just different.
With there being all those new guys, Ryan, have guys turned to you, or have you kind of taken it upon yourself to sort of explain to them the dynamics of this game and of the two schools?
Yeah, I mean, obviously not many of our guys are from around here, so they might not know what this game means. You know, it's a pride thing. You know, you obviously don't want to let your neighbor, you know, beat you, whatever. So I think both teams will, you know, I think it'll be a dogfight, and both teams will, you know, come out ready and come out swinging.
Does the loss last year impact the meaning for this side, for Pitt side?
I mean, anytime you lose to a team and you come back to them the next year, you want to use that as motivation. So the couple guys that were here last year, we remember that feeling and really just, you know, try to tell the guys, you know, like every other game, you know, just be ready. You know, it has a little bit more meaning, but at the same time, just relax. It's just another game that you have to be prepared for.
How hard did Duquesne come after you?
What do you mean?
Recruiting.
Oh, pretty hard. The same staff wasn't. It's a new staff this year.
Yeah.
But yeah, they recruited me. Yeah,
Was there much
so.
pressure at home?
Not too much.
No.
You know, I didn't have too much outside pressure. You know, of you know, from outside people, but I was allowed to make my own decision. And, you know, so.
Do you ever, I mean, this is kind of a dumb question, but do you ever think about how things may have turned out differently had you maybe gone there, had Pitt not come in late with an offer for you?
I mean, you can't. I don't really think of things like that. You know, in hindsight, and you know, try to say shoulda, coulda, woulda. But you know, I chose Pitt because I wanted to be here, and you know, that's nothing against Duquesne or anything. But I don't know. This is where I wanted to be.
You were far more polite than me. I would have just said it was a dumb question.
In your eyes, how has this team grown from game 1 to game 7 now?
I think we've grown a lot. You know, it might not be as apparent from the outside, but I feel like we're kind of forming more of an identity. You know, I think we've improved our defense from game to game. I thought we showed it a little bit our second game in Brooklyn, and these last couple games at home. Although it wasn't, you know, although we didn't, you know, we're not doing as some of the things as well as we wanted to, like turning the ball over a couple times last game and stuff like that. But I think we're forming more of an identity, you know, how we have to get stops on defense end, and then hang our hats on that, and then just execute on offense. So I think we've made strides.
How would you describe your identity? Because I know that goes beyond just skill set.
Well, we have to be a together group. We're not going to be the most experienced, the biggest, the fastest, the strongest, but we have to be the most together. And really, like I said, we got to rely on our defense. If we get stops and string stops together, that kind of settles us down, kind of opens things up on offense. But we kind of just got to let the game come to us and, you know, rely on that defense.
Right, how do you measure success when the results are not what you want?
Just progress. You know, even for a team that doesn't have as many new guys as us, there's going to be, you know, early season struggles and adjustments. I know we've talked with the coaching staff and the players. We feel that we're getting better. We feel that we're gelling more, getting more of an identity, like I said. So we just got to keep moving in the right direction.
You know, as all as what that turnover, sorry, was going on over the summer, I mean, what was for you the most difficult part of that, and of when all the new guys got here, of being sort of one of the few holdovers and having to work with an entirely new team?
I'd say one of the biggest things, you know, typically if you're a senior, you know, there's a lot of familiarity, a lot of you know, things that you know are going to happen moving forward. But with so many new guys, I kind of, you know, it was kind of like a new year for me. Get adjusting to them and everything like that. But everyone's been great so far. Obviously, we've had our adversity and had our struggles early on, but I think we're getting there and we're getting better.
Are guys still cracking jokes on you, like calling you an old man and stuff, or is that kind of ceased?
Not every once in a while, but not too much.
Given what happened last year, I mean, is there any extra pressure going into this game, given what Pitt has recently done with Duquesne, where they've been so dominant in that series? Is there pressure to get a win and not have it turn to a losing streak?
We got a bunch of new guys that really don't know nothing about this rivalry, and every game to them is going to be a big game. But for people like me and Rod that are returning, we probably have a little bit of a more chip on our shoulder, just because of what happened last year, most definitely.
What do you think was the issue in that game that, you know, led to that result?
I can't even remember back vividly that far. I'm going to be honest. I can't remember back.
I know Jamel was suspended that game. I mean,
Yeah, I know somebody. One of our was it Jamel or Mike?
It was Jamel.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I remember we had like somebody missing, so yeah, it was different that game. So, and Ryan was Ryan was hurt too, wasn't he?
I think he might have been out.
Wasn't Ryan his boot? He wasn't hurt yet.
I
No,
don't think so.
I can't remember.
It's a long time ago.
Yeah.
You guys get a lot on your mind.
How have you seen this team improve over, you know, these past few weeks? I mean, I think in the past 3 or 4 games, we've seen you guys look a lot better offensively in particular. I mean, what sort of changes and improvements have you seen from this group as these young guys get older and mature a little bit?
Just getting a chance to be on the floor, getting their feet wet, basically, and paying attention to detail. So, and that's going to continue to go in progress, you know, as they get more experience, as we all get more experience with each other. So,
Marcus called you his big bro you know, after last game. How close have you grown when you first got here to now, where you're sharing the backcourt, playing big minutes together, and kind of what role do you play in helping him continue to adjust?
Just talking, being a positive influence in my actions, you know what I mean, leading by example, and always being there to be kind of like a little bit of balance when we hit adversity, because, you know, a lot of these guys going to be their first time going through certain adversities on a college level, so just kind of being the level-headed guy to look to.
How much of an adjustment was that for you, sort of being, you know, thrust into more of a leadership role where you have these younger guys who are maybe leaning on you a little bit more?
It's not really a big transition for me personally. You know, I was out of the house at a young age, and I have my own children, and, you know, I'm kind of like the head of my household. So being a leader and making decisions isn't something I have to work on. That's my everyday life, you know.
What age were you out of the house? 16,
I moved out. I moved across the coast. We moved out of my mom's house. She had a headache when I moved. So
How difficult was that?
it was difficult. You know, I got a job for the first time. Learned a lot of things about responsibility and being accountable for your actions. So those things I learned a long time ago.
Does that sort of put the struggles of a basketball team in perspective in a way?
Yeah, you could transfer like all the lessons you learn on the basketball court into life. You know, integrity, doing the things you need to do, paying attention to details, all those things that I learned off the court, I implement them on the court as well.
That being said, but when the results aren't necessarily what you want, I mean, they're going to give much larger responsibilities in your life than this. I mean, I know you want to succeed in this, but does that, having all this other stuff going on outside of this, sort of be like, well, yeah, this sucks, but it's basketball?
It's a balance, you know what I mean? Whenever you do something, I think you should do it with all of yourself, you know what I mean? So it's a balance. Don't let it weigh too much on anything, but I balance both things. I love basketball, and I also love my family, so just a balance.
Is there, do you guys have anything to gain by, in this game, in the sense that, like, well, you're Pitt, you're supposed to win, you're supposed to beat, because you've dominated this rivalry for 35 years or whatever. I mean, is that, and then if you lose, it's like, oh my God, you lost to Duquesne. If you beat Duquesne, it's like, well, you're supposed to. Is that?
I think this is a good game to get us prepared for adversity we'll have later. You know, a lot of the guys, like I said, this is their first time having an experience like this and being in the city game. So it's a good building block for adversity and challenges that we'll have later in the season.
What do you pride yourself on as a dad?
Making the right decisions, you know what I mean? Learning from mistakes. Like, I'm going to make mistakes just like anybody else, but making the right decisions and recognizing when I'm wrong.
How much does that kind of push you or motivate you more, the fact that you are a dad and you have a child in basketball and then want to coach?
I definitely want to be somebody that my children could look up to, you know what I mean? And take those leadership qualities I've had to take on in the household and implement them here in a sense. So
How many kiddos do you have?
I have a son and a daughter. My son's name is Nas, and my daughter's name is Liliana, but people just call her Lily.
How
So
old?
she's 3 months, and Nas is going to be turning 3 this summer. So, but he looks 4. I'm pretty sure you guys will see him sometime. So.
Nas come from music, the music aspect? Or
No, it means protector in Hebrew, so that's why we chose that name.
You get them a basketball yet?
Oh, we have like this little basket, and he shoots on it all day, and I have to watch him shoot on it all day, even when I'm tired after practice. I sit there and I play with him. So he loves playing basketball. He loves basketball. Loves coming to the game. So
Do you give him tips on form or anything like that, or is
he's a better
goal
shooter than
goes
me.
to that?
He's already a better shooter than me. So maybe I need to watch him a little bit more.
is he starting to get to the age where he's starting to realize, what his dad does? His dad, plays basketball full time on scholarship at a high major program.
He
Is
definitely-
that coming along, maybe a little older, like 6?
He definitely does. He has like a little iPad, and he watches the highlights. It's funny though, cause he must be looking at like the thumbnails, cause I know he can't read yet. So he watches the highlights and stuff. He likes basketball. So